My dinner party is tomorrow, and my herbs, mushrooms in brioche is one of those perfect make-ahead recipes. Brioche needs the overnight time to sit in the fridge and proof. If you've never made bread dough in your life, start with brioche. It's one of the more forgiving bread doughs you can make. I start with half a cup of milk, and that's at room temperature, because I'm adding a tablespoon of yeast. The fridge cools down the dough, so I need to give it a little time now at room temperature for the yeast to actually start working. So while I let that sit, I can make the mushroom filling that is going to go inside each individual brioche. It's almost like a muffin with a domed cap to it. It's so great. I'll just cook down. Okay, garlic. What's important about the filling is that, number one, it's chilled before I fill the brioche, but also that all the moisture is cooked out, because otherwise, if it creates steam inside the brioche, I'll have a big empty air pocket inside, and I don't want that. I've got a little fresh thyme and fresh oregano, because it is about the herbs. Layering the herbs. I've got the thyme and oregano to add now, so the heat can draw out the flavor, and then I'll add chives and parsley at the end. So pop that in. And then to heighten the flavor, again, very French, a little white wine or a little dry vermouth. Oh, that smells good. There we go. So I'll shut this off and let it cool, and that way, when I assemble the brioche tomorrow, I'll have my chilled filling all set. I have some cheese to add to it, but I want to make sure the mixture is cool, so I'll do that tomorrow. I have some finely diced red pepper, just for color, and the heat will soften that up. And now I can stir in the parsley and chives. Woohoo! There we go. So I'll just set that aside to cool, and now my yeast has started bubbling a little bit, so I can get the brioche dough on its way. 3 cups of all-purpose flour. It's not a sweet dough, but a bit of sugar in the recipe helps accelerate the fermentation. And a teaspoon of salt. And then before I start adding the butter, I want to add 6 eggs. It is a rich bread. 6 full eggs. Because I only added half a cup of milk. Forgot the rum. I like to put a little rum in the dough, more for the fragrance than the taste. It burns off when you bake it, but it leaves a nice sort of subtle back of the palate note when you eat the brioche. And it doesn't matter if you're making it for sticky buns or for mushroom filling. A little bit of rum is nice in the dough. So the dough is sloppy and sticky and messy, but once it goes in the fridge and sets up overnight, then it looks more like a traditional bread dough. I switch to the dough hook now, just so I can get a little kneading action going on. What I need to do is add 1.5 cups of butter. Oh, I know that's a lot of butter. It's 100% worth it. It's very important to use unsalted butter, because for 1.5 cups, that would be a lot of salt to add to the recipe. So I'll probably have to scrape the side of the bowl once or twice during mixing. You know, and you can make this bread dough without using a stand-up mixer. It's soft enough you could actually mix it by hand or use electric beaters with those spiral dough hook attachments. And that is one squishy bread dough. Yeast actually slows down when it's cold, so it will still rise up, but it'll take its time. But the more time you give yeast to work, the better the flavor you get in the end result. My day is done. I'm calling it a night. Now that the mixture had time to chill overnight, I'll stir in some grated Asiago cheese because I want the cheese to melt in the heat of the oven. I didn't want to add it last night and have it all melt into the warm mushroom filling. And this looks nothing like that sticky, gooey mess last night. Now I find it easiest to divide the dough into 8 pieces, and then it's so tender and delicate you can actually push it flat with your hand. And I flatten it out to about 1/2 inch thick, and then spoon as much mushroom filling in as I can with that grated cheese. So the rough edge, where I pinch the dough together, becomes the bottom. And then I like to leave lots of space, so I grease every other muffin cup in a muffin tin and just slip it inside like that. Since the dough's cold now, if I were to put it right in the oven, then the brioche dough would actually rise too quickly and split unevenly. So what I'll do is cover these with a tea towel, leave them for about 20 minutes. It'll take about that long for me to preheat the oven to 375. Right before it goes in the oven, I'll brush the top with an egg wash. That's just a little egg mixed with a little cold water. And that's just for decorative purposes, so it looks polished and finished on the plate. And then about 18-25 minutes, I'll have fresh brioche stuffed with an herb, mushroom, and Asiago filling. Oh, that's elegant, I bet. Val and Brian did not have something like that when they were in France.